Hello, welcome to the studios of WHYL. I'm JJ Randolph with another installment of the highly acclaimed now A to JJ video series documenting my rise to stardom in the radio industry. Let's go back to the summer of 1976. I was now a full-time radio employee at WTHU in Thurmont, Maryland. Basically, I was there at night. I ran Orioles games, and they would run late. And I got to do time and temperature at the top of the hour and say, you're listening to Orioles baseball at WTHU Thurmont. Well, one of the girls that I went to high school with, she decided that she was going to be my first groupie. She would call me every night when there weren't parties at the station, and we would talk for hours. Okay, and I'd say, hang on, I have to push a button. Hang on, I have to do this. Hang on, I have to do that. So anyway, one day, I asked her out. And she said yes. Surprise, surprise. So remember, I'm not even 18 yet. I just graduated from high school. It was getting towards time to go to college. She was going to be a senior. So I said, okay, I'll come and pick you up, because I drove my new car, the 1974 Plymouth Duster. So I went to pick her up, and I went in the house, and her dad, who was a very big man, was sitting in his lounge chair, and he was listening to an Orioles game that we had on the radio. And Jessica, the girl that I was picking up for the date, said, Daddy, this is the guy who works at the radio station and runs the Orioles games. And he said, well, why aren't you there now? And I said, well, it's a Saturday afternoon. So he said, okay, I'll have my daughter back by 10:30. All right, now it's 7 o'clock. So I took Jessica to duck pin bowling. If you don't know what duck pin bowling is, it's just a smaller version of a ball. It's like what do you call that? Where you roll it and you have to get it in the holes. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Skee ball?
Skee ball, yeah. It's like skee ball, only without the holes. Thank you. Okay, so we go to the duck pin bowling, and then afterwards we went parking. That's what we did. And I got her home at 10:30, as we're supposed to do, and then left. And I never talked to her again. About 2 weeks later, I'm out with the Huber boys. Now, Joe and Jim Huber Joe, I think he was my age. Jim was about 3 years older than me, because junior year was the best 3 years of his life. He was bad. So we went and we got drunk, and we're going down Route 15, and we're drag racing. And back in the back of you can see in the rearview mirror were flashing lights. So the Huber boys, they took a left turn and ditched. And I kept driving down Route 15. Remember, Route 15 was one way this way and one way that way back in 45 years ago. So I get almost to the exit, and I decided it would be best for me not to try to outrun a police car. So I pulled over, and this man got out of the car, and he said, get out of the car. So I did. And he stood me up, and he said, were you drinking? I said, oh, yeah, absolutely. I was out with the Huber boys. He said, oh, yeah, I'm very familiar with them. And I said, okay. He said, well, you live on Central Street. I said, yes. He said, okay, I'm going to follow you home. So I got in my car, and it was maybe a half mile. I got out of the car. He was right behind me, and his lights were still on. And I got out of the car, and I said, hey, thanks. He said, hey, come here. I walked over to him, and he leaned me against the car, and he shined his flashlight in his face, and he said, do you remember me? And I said, no. He said, I'm Jennifer's father, the one you took duck pin bowling. Oh, you're the guy in the chair. Yeah, he's a state cop, and I didn't know it. So he said to me, you ever call my daughter again, I will bury you. And I said, okay, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. So he got in his car and he left, and I walked into my house, and my dad said, what was that all about? And I had to be very cavalier, even though I was crapping myself. I said, well, that was Jennifer's dad, the girl I took out the other night. He just wanted to see how I was doing. Good night. And that was it. That was my first groupie experience. Join us again next week for another edition of A to JJ. You can catch it on our Facebook page, and you can check out my show every Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 on WHYL, Oldies 102.9. Bye-bye till next time.